Hello, everyone. I just want to take a moment to say we're going to get started here in just a minute. We're doing the live stream, so if you're watching on the live stream, hello. I'm Chris Mallard, host of the Daily Atheist Morning Show. We're just about to get ready, I promise. So nobody pass out. Everybody get lots of water, all that good stuff. And if I pass out over here, pour water on me. So, work. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, those are our fans. All right.
How's everybody doing today? So, my name's Joe. Most of you know me from the YouTube channel, The Kentucky Atheist. I have worked a lot with the Tri-State Freethinkers and my friend Jess to get all this put together. And I want to thank everybody for coming out. Really appreciate having you here to talk about some of the awful ideas and stuff that go on, separation of church and state, the pseudoscience being taught to children, and the harm that these things do. And I'm glad everybody can come out and recognize that that's happening and just shine a light on this for everybody else to see. And everybody that's watching the live stream, hey, thanks for coming and watching. Good to see you. We've got lots of great speakers coming up. Tri-State Freethinkers is going to have pizza here at about 1:30, and they'll set up a table, and it's absolutely free for everyone to eat. There is a jar that says Tri-State Freethinkers. You can make a donation if you want, and it'll go towards next year's 10th anniversary event and whatever projects the Tri-State Freethinkers got going on. We couldn't have done this without them. Jim isn't here yet, I don't guess, but we'll make sure everybody gets to see Jim when Jim gets here. He likes to talk to everybody. Yeah, we got lots of great stuff, and obviously I'm not much of a speaker, so which goes great with the YouTube channel, I have to say. But we've got Chris Mallard from Daily Atheist Morning Show is going to kind of host this thing, and we'll get our speakers going, and let's get going. Chris Mallard, everybody.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Man, look at all these beautiful people, all these non-believers, sinners. We have any blasphemers in the audience? Blasphemers? Okay, good, good. Any sinners? Okay, good. This is like being in hell between the heat and the company. Okay, everyone, thank you all for joining us. As you know, we're here to protest the Ark Encounter, and we want to support the separation of church and state and all that great business. I'm not going to go into those things too much because we have our wonderful speakers here to do that for us. As a matter of fact, I'm going to call up Ember now. Ember's going to come up here and visit with us. This is Ember from the Better Than Ember channel. Don't hit that camera. I'll be all over you like ugly on a stick. Here's Ember. Thank you, Ember. Oh, so nice to have you. Ember is leaving. She's got to go do that voodoo that she does somewhere else. So I'm going to let you give us your stick. Thank you very much.
All righty. All right, folks, you have to bear with me. I didn't have a chance to memorize my speech, so I'm double fisting today. It'll be fun. Absolutely. Let your freak flag fly. Great start, Ember. Okay, let's just do the thing, shall we? Friends, allies, defenders of reason, we gather today not to oppose faith, but to oppose fraud. Not to silence religion, but to stop its weaponization against the common good. When the creationist ministry violates tax law to impose a dogmatic conspiracy theory in place of science, it's not just a legal crime. It's moral theft. They steal from students the right to ask questions, from teachers the right to evidence, from society the diversity of thought that drives progress. This isn't about evolutionism versus Genesis. It's about authoritarianism versus humanity. 9 years ago, the Tri-State Freethinkers showed up to protest this monstrosity and all that it represents. Not atheists, though we do have some notable representatives that meet that description with us here today, but secular people. There are people of faith with us here today. People who believe in a god or gods, but also believe no one religion has the right to control the lives of everyone else. No Muslim should be telling Christians when to pray. No Baptist should be demanding Catholics forego communion. No evangelical should be censoring the gods of the Hindus. Religious people understand and value the necessity of the separation of church and state because it exists for their protection too. We also have a few individuals here with us with unique perspectives. John, the skeptic, who presents the absurdity of harmful beliefs like those taught in that park in a comedic way. Chris Mallard, our MC, who joins comedy and critical thinking every morning and fosters a sense of community for us all who are so far removed in geography. Hemant Mehta, who helps keep us informed about what's happening in our world. Godless Granny, Kelly, who encourages us to live our lives. Godless Engineer, John Gleason, who teaches us how to be brave enough to stand up and use your voice. Mandisa Thomas, who helps so many of the marginalized find our voices. Dr. J. Bundy, who believes in science with a fire that sometimes burns the unwary who try to use religion to scam innocent people. Secular Rarity, who can present logic and philosophy in a way any layperson can understand. Joe and Jess, our main organizers, who quite literally are bringing people together. And so many others. Even me. I'm not anybody special. Sure, I can say things about myself that might sound impressive. Like many of you, I'm a parent. Like Dr. Bundy, I've got too many diplomas and get unreasonably excited over science. Like Mandisa, I try to give a voice to people like me who are marginalized, trans and intersex people in my case. Like Hemant, I try to bring people news that they aren't getting from elsewhere. Like SR, I try to communicate in a way that connects. And like Joe, Jess, and all the volunteers who made today possible, I try my best to do all I can for the community. Because I believe in community. I believe in a diversity of voices, a chorus, if you will, like all those gathered here today. I often say we need as many voices, as many perspectives and experiences and bursts of inspiration as we can get, because you never know what spark is going to ignite in a person's heart and set them free from the lies and the control of conspiracy theories like young Earth creationism. That's the difference between us and what's taught in that monument to a horror story. We value diversity of thought. We value disagreement. That's how we learn when we're wrong, so we can stop being wrong. We value learning new things, not shutting them out, because that's how we get smarter, do better, and grow as a community and a culture and a civilization. But up in that boat, it's just the opposite. Don't question. Don't speak unless it's what you've been told to say. Don't step out of line, or else. We are a library with hundreds of books full of thousands of tales of experiences of every kind. They offer only one book, just one story. But what really crosses the line is their efforts to ban all the other books and use taxpayer money to do it. That isn't even a metaphor. They literally try to ban books. But that's just a proxy. The specific books they try to ban are the books that tell of different ways to be human. What they really want to ban is knowledge we are here as a stepping stone to banning us. They are bound and determined to burn down the library, so it can only be that one book for everyone forever. They try to silence the chorus, so only their one voice can be heard, commanding all to obey. They say they're defending the faith, pretending that Christianity is under attack, despite the fact they have all the money, all the power, all the branches of government, and feel so secure in that cultural domination they aren't even pretending to obey the laws anymore. They're funneling tax money directly into that abomination of a church, and they're using that ministry to try to make their doctrine actual law, even as they try with their agents to undermine and ignore the very laws our constitutional republic was founded on. When Answers in Genesis pushes money from Kentucky taxpayers into political lobbying, or pseudoscience textbooks, or homeschooling programs to indoctrinate children, they betray the very pluralism that real religious freedom requires. Every medical breakthrough, every technological innovation, every revolution, whether scientific or cultural or literal, comes from diverse minds challenging orthodoxy. And that's exactly what creationist fundamentalism stifles. From Plato to Galileo to Scopes to Kitzmiller versus Dover, progress happens when we reject the tyranny of one true answer, especially when we know that answer is just something some guy made up. When we pretend to have all the answers, we stop looking for the real answers, don't we? They demand scripture in schools, but ignore scripture's own calls for justice. Thou shalt not steal, Exodus 20:15. Yet they steal tax dollars. Test everything, 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Yet they keep trying to ban critical thinking. AIG isn't about faith, it's about control. These authoritarians insist there is only one way, my way. They like to say it's God's way, but it always comes from one man saying what he wants and backing it up with cherry-picked passages from one specific interpretation of one specific translation of one particular holy book, indisputably written by men. They tell us, slaves, obey your masters. That's Holy Scripture, unquestionable. History shows that progress comes from disagreement and the interplay of ideas, different ideas. A forest with only one kind of tree will die immediately when a parasite arrives. An orchestra with only one instrument falls flat. Diversity brings strength, resilience, and helps the whole grow and become greater than any single specimen ever could, no matter how superior some guy declares it to be. We stand today for a simple principle. No ideology matters more than people. No worldview gets to rewrite facts. No organization gets to ignore the laws. No fallible human gets to dictate truth, especially when that human stands to gain staggering amounts of money and power by doing so. We are parents, we are scientists, we are believers, and we are atheists of every race and gender and social class and region of this nation. Our diverse voices are a chorus of 1,000 notes, but today we join in a harmonic crescendo so that we might be heard over Ken Ham's $1 million megaphone and sing out, enough! The future has always come from embracing diversity, not dictating obedience. We are building that future, while they are building graven images to a fictional past that never even really existed. In that fake boat, I'd be shouted down and called all manner of things, I'm sure, and whatever I had to say would be dismissed out of hand, like anything else that doesn't already agree with the approved beliefs. But out here, I can speak, and I can be heard. Like each of you, I'm just a person, but we all deserve to have a voice. We all deserve to live. And the fact that is a controversial statement because of what's taught in that literal vessel of lies So let us choose the symphony. Let us reject the fear that says difference is dangerous. Let us amplify voices that power tries to mute, not because it's right, but because it's how we survive and thrive. The next time someone claims unity requires uniformity, remember, a single note is not a song, a single story is not a library, and a single voice, no matter how loud, is not democracy. Today, we are emissaries of the chorus, and we are here to make some noise.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I hope you have a safe trip. Ember has got to go do that voodoo again that she does somewhere else. Thank you for that wonderful speech. We appreciate it. Get out of here. Off my stage. Off my stage. Thank you. Be safe. All right. For our next speaker up here, we have Jay Bundy, right? Did I get it right? Man, I remembered something from all the way over there. Jay Bundy, he is a podcaster. This man has got some very interesting stuff. He's got to hug Ember because, you know, that's what we do. So, Jay Bundy, thank you for joining us today. Come up here. You all right?
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks so much for having me. Also want to thank the organizers for inviting me to speak. Let's see if I also didn't memorize my speech, so let's see if I can get through this. My name's Dr. Jay Bundy. I have a dual PhD in integrative biology and ecology, evolutionary biology, and behavior. I'm an experimental evolutionary biologist. I was trained in a lab with Dr. Richard Lenski at Michigan State University, where I contributed to the longest running evolution experiment in the history of science. I host the Pocket Locker 86 YouTube channel, and I co-host Black Freethinkers on the Skeptic Haven YouTube channel. I'm a scientist educator. I'm also a former youth minister, worship musician, and community organizer. I'm here today to show solidarity with everybody who is harmed by religious indoctrination, including myself, especially the ideas of the radical hate group masquerading as scholars known as Answers in Genesis. I'm not here today to tell you that creationism isn't scientific. We already know that. Any serious scientist knows that. Frankly, most people already know that, even if they pretend not to. This is not a debate. This is a protest. The Ark Encounter isn't about science. It's about ideology, control, and profit. And the people behind it aren't confused. They're calculated. They are building a parallel reality where faith is used to explain away facts and where the refusal to accept evidence is seen as a virtue. This is not about a difference of opinion. This is about a deliberate attempt to undermine scientific literacy and replace it with theological obedience. It's not just wrong, it's dangerous. This is not a debate. This is a protest. When I was in grad school studying evolutionary biology, my mother, who is still deeply Christian, asked me if I'd ever heard of the quote-unquote Creation Museum, like it was a legitimate institution, like it was offering answers. I had to explain to her, like, no, it's not a museum. It's a propaganda piece. It doesn't inform, it indoctrinates. And the most disturbing part was that she trusted it. She wanted to believe that something like this could help reconcile her beliefs with what I was studying. She was reaching for understanding, but instead of truth, she was handed a polished lie. Like the Creation Museum, this attraction exists to make people feel comfortable in a delusion. It's not for discovery, it's for emotional reassurance. It tells people you don't have to question, you don't need evidence, you're already right and everybody else is wrong. That reassurance is seductive. It's why these places make money. They are selling certainty in a world where certainty is in short supply. That's why this is not a debate. This is a protest. Answers in Genesis is just some cranky preacher shouting in the woods. They're a multi-million-dollar organization that leverages Christian identity, nostalgia, and fear to push an anti-science, anti-democracy, anti-human agenda. They know they're lying. They're just getting paid to do it. And they get tax breaks to boot. Think about that. They received public money while requiring employees to sign statements denying basic biology and affirming biblical literalism. Some of my fellow scientists would have told me not to come here today. They'd say I'm giving undue attention to ignorance. But this isn't ignorance, it's weaponized mythology. It's a business model built on denial and domination. There's another layer to this that doesn't get talked about enough, and that's religious narcissism. As a survivor of narcissistic abuse, I don't use that term lightly. But to believe you are uniquely deserving of eternity while others suffer eternally, that takes an extraordinary amount of self-importance. To worship a God who commands genocide, advocates the execution of queer people, and gave humanity a handbook for slavery, that takes either profound denial or a deep lack of empathy. AIG feeds this narcissism. They give people permission to believe they are righteous simply for believing that they are chosen, that everyone else is wrong, lost, depraved, damned. And they wrap it up with in a smiling theme park with petting zoos and animatronics. But at its core, it's about telling people you're right because you believe, everyone else is wrong because they don't. That's not humility, that's not faith, that is spiritual arrogance, and it is doing real harm. And if we don't call it out, not just in the classrooms, but in public, then we let it fester. We allow it to shape policy, to infect school boards, to silence teachers, to shape the minds of children before they ever meet a scientist. That's why this is not a debate. This is a protest. We have overwhelming evidence that these harmful ideas, especially the gender essentialism embedded in AIG's messaging and statement of faith, are not only wrong, they're actively dangerous. According to a 2022 study in CBE Life Sciences Education, students with queer genders report that gender essentialism in biology makes them feel erased, alienated, and unwelcome in the field. It's not just scientifically inaccurate, it's actively repelling future scientists from the discipline. And when we see these same ideas show up in the executive orders of the Trump administration, we know what time it is. AIG's statement of faith requires belief that God created people as either male or female, and that any identity outside of that binary is sinful and invalid. This message isn't just exclusionary, it's violent. It contributes to the erasure of trans and non-binary people in science and in society. So let me be absolutely clear. It is not true that there are only two genders. It is not true that we were all created male and female. And while we're at it, we need to stop pretending we were created at all. According to a 2024 national study, 37% of Americans still believe God created humans in our present form, being the dominant idea. Another 34% believe evolution was quote unquote guided by God. That's fully 71% of Americans rejecting the scientific explanation of our origins. That's not a curiosity, that's a crisis. And it's a crisis that too many science educators are complicit in coddling out of fear of offending the faithful or disrupting the status quo. We must stop coddling religious indoctrination. You cannot teach science while pretending supernatural explanations deserve equal time. That is not education, it's capitulation. That's why this is not a debate, this is a protest. And speaking of coddling, I heard there might be some journalists amongst us today, some members of the press who are covering this event. How will you tell the story of today? Will you give equal weight to the pseudoscience of AIG and the statements of credentialed evolutionary biologists? Will you default to the tired both sides framing as if we're debating the color of the sky? Because let me be clear, there are not two equal sides here. One side is rooted in centuries of observation, evidence, and peer-reviewed discovery. The other side built a theme park where dinosaurs sail on Noah's Ark and carnivorous beasts bunk next to kangaroos like it's a biblical zoo cruise. Most of the people in this region aren't going to find this protest on YouTube. They aren't following evolutionary biologists on Twitter, but they will watch the local news. They will read their community paper. And what you say or fail to say will either challenge them or reinforce their delusion. Please don't pretend neutrality in the face of lies. That's not objectivity, it's abdication. Need I remind you, this is not a debate, this is a protest. I have debated creationists before, and some of you have too, but I urge you, ask yourselves whether that energy is being used effectively. Let's resist the temptation to treat these engagements like sport. For those of us with relative privilege, it can be thrilling to demolish bad arguments. But for queer people, people of color, disabled people, and others who are the targets of this religiously justified hate, this isn't just rhetoric, it's existential. It's life and death. We have to center those who are actually harmed by these beliefs, not the ego of the debater, not the spectacle of the live stream. Let's stop wasting our breath in the comments threads, arguing with people who think fossils were planted by the devil. Let's instead invest in the people trying to survive in the shadow of this ideology. This is not a debate. This is a protest. Before I go, I want to offer you a story, a recommendation. If you haven't seen Midnight Mass, the Netflix series by Mike Flanagan, I urge you to watch it. It's not just horror, it's a meditation on belief, on how desperation for salvation can make us complicit in monstrosity. A small town falls under the spell of a charismatic preacher. He performs miracles, he quotes scripture, he promises eternal life, but behind it all is something parasitic, something that consumes the faithful even as it claims to uplift them. And that, to me, is exactly what we're witnessing here at the Ark Encounter and the continued rise of Christofascism in this country. This isn't just quiche. It's not about bad science. It's a parasitic movement that drains our communities emotionally, financially, and intellectually. It exploits wonder to instill fear. It replaces curiosity with dogma. It sucks the oxygen out of the room and calls it gospel. So if you do watch Midnight Mass, see it not just as a story about vampires, but as a parable, a mirror, because we are living in a time when people are so desperate for meaning, they'll drink poison if it's labeled holy water. The question the show asks, and the one I'll leave you with, is this: what kind of resurrection is worth dying for? And what kind of truth is worth living for? This is not a debate. This is a protest. Thank you.
Helping them out. Well, thank you, Jay. Appreciate you. I want to let everybody know that if you need to go to the restroom, we've got Will over here. Will ferry us over to the place to go do the thing. So if you need to go do that voodoo, let us know. I want to take a moment, just because I can. I want to say thank you. Well, first of all, we got a Black non-believers table over here with some merch. There you go. So if you need some merch, they want to sing with me. Yeah, so we've got some merch over here, and I want to take a moment to thank Pangburn and the all the support that he has given and his little organization has done. Thank you very much, Pangburn. And also, yes, they're here. And also, I want to take a moment to say thank you to everybody else who's shown up. We've got people from all over the country who've come in and are visiting with us, and I very much appreciate you. Remember, drink lots of water. Everybody has sunscreen. Elliot is here. Elliot, all right, so everybody, thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mark Alsip. He's out here somewhere, ready to go do that voodoo. There he is. Ha, ha, ha. Come on up here, Mark. Goodness gracious. So thank you, everybody. And again, Will is right here. He's ready to haul you off to the little boys' room, little girls' room. Thank you very much.
Good, thank you. Get my paperweight here. So, hello. Hot as hell today, and according to Ken Ham, I'm going to find out what that really feels like someday. But for the moment, we're all good. My name is Mark Alsip. I'm a former young earth creationist. I was indoctrinated into Ken Ham's religion around the age of 6 when a Sunday school teacher told me that rainbows did not exist until after a flood. Now, I loved Jesus. I loved God. I loved my family. Behind that came in third was science. So I raised my hand and explained the physics of rainbows to the Sunday school teacher. She stopped the class and shouted, "Mark is full of Satan. Satan is speaking through Mark." Kids started scattering. Mark is dragging him to hell. Why? Because I said something in the Bible was not true. Her argument was that if anything in the Bible can be found to not be true, then everything in the Bible can be doubted. Where have you heard that? Over on the other side of the road, right? On the gangplank. They tell me that we're indoctrinating children over here. I've never had anyone threaten to burn me in hell for getting a math problem wrong. I proved 1 = 0 in calculus class once. Got a bad grade, but I didn't get burned. If you want to see indoctrination, you need to look on the other side of the road. They say that we're brainwashing our children. I've never had anybody promise me a cloud in heaven with wine or grape juice if I was little, if I could conjugate a French verb correctly. On that side of the road, you get your cloud in heaven if you agree with everything they say. That's brainwashing. If you want to see brainwashing, other side of the road. They tell us we have bad morals here. Really? What about drowning a bunch of innocent little babies and kids in their crib in a flood that they had nothing to do with? Why not just snap your fingers and take them to heaven? Where's your morals there? Let me quote Leviticus 25:44-46, or I'll summarize it. You can take from people among you of other nations as slaves to pass down as property. Just don't take people from your own country. That's God speaking. Bad morals? Seriously? Bad morals? Striking down the firstborn children in Egypt? Telling God, or bragging to Moses that he's going to harden Pharaoh's heart. So Pharaoh's not going to let those people go. He's going to kill them. He knows ahead of time, and he's bragging about it. Don't tell me about bad morals. Good Lord. I've seen some answers in Genesis literature that takes the LGBTQ community. This is hard in this heat, guys. They take them, atheists, agnostics, people of other religions, other denominations, humanists, whatever an evolutionist is. What the hell is an evolutionist? I think they mean scientists. They lump them all in with pedophiles. I got to tell you about pedophiles. I grew up with one. I had a neighbor who repeatedly raped me between ages 6 and 7. This guy went to church every Sunday. He was a young earth creationist. He believed that dinosaurs walked with humans. He made me promise, he took advantage of my love for Jesus, that I would never talk about this because God would strike me dead. If you want to find pedophiles, don't look here, my friends. Look on that side of the road. Because there's not a week that goes by that I don't pick up the Friendly Atheist newsletter and see another evangelical preacher or another Catholic priest raping a kid, and then they get forgiven for it. And this is where I'm going to quote Alanis Morissette. Isn't it ironic? Isn't it ironic that my abuser just has to go to the other side of the road and say he's sorry, and he gets to go to heaven? But no matter how much good I do for anyone, I'm going to burn in hell. There's your morals for you. No thanks. I don't need a script. I'm just gonna go with it. So on that side of the road, they get millions of dollars of tax breaks. There's something you may not have heard called the Kentucky Faith Trail, where Kentucky put another $300,000 into the kitty. They then, people don't know this, charge $2,000 more to each of the 11 Christian-only sites on the Faith Trail. Where did all that money go? I've been doing FOIA requests against the Ark Encounter. The top 2 beneficiaries. Anybody want to guess what they are? Answers in Genesis, Ark Encounter, and the Creation Museum. Nobody else, according to their own numbers, even comes close. And now they've spent, I forget how many $100 million on classrooms in Erlanger, and they're fighting to keep public education, they want to get rid of it, basically. So, yeah, I'm off the trail now. I'm off my speech, so we'll get through this. They're trying to get public school vouchers so just religions can be taught. And Ken Ham has his classroom set up. He's all ready for this. He's drooling for it. And just for grins, look up tail number N190JK, the Answers in Genesis plane that flies to the Cayman Islands once a month and then flies back after staying on the tarmac long enough to drop something off. So I'm going to segue into the end here. I'm a little disorganized still, but like I said, we'll get through it. There's some pretty dark times ahead of us right now. Things are not going well for our side. So what can we do? I don't want to end this on a bad note. Well, one thing we can do is what we're doing today. Gather together, make friends, make connections. Don't let your motivation end after just today. Stick together. Introduce yourself. There are a lot of great people here. You'd love to stay in touch. Let's stay active all year long. Let's remember there are more of them than there are more of us than there are of them. And if we can keep this growing, we can eventually come out on top. So I'd like to thank Joe, the Kentucky Atheist, especially, Pangburn, Tri-State Freethinkers, all the great speakers, all the great people we have out here. And I'm really proud to be with you here today on this side of the road. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. I get a hug. I get a hug. Got a hug. All right. I've always wanted to do this. Our next speaker needs no introduction. I'm sorry. I can get over here, man. You guys know John. This is the Godless Engineer from John from Godless Engineer channel. Yeah. Man, you know everything. You know how to do things.
Yeah, I do. A little bit. All right. Welcome everybody to the protest. I do appreciate everybody that's putting this on and everybody that's coming out to listen and watch and everything like that. So at first glance, the Creation Museum and Ark Encounter may seem like harmless religious attractions, quirky roadside spectacles meant to entertain the faithful. But a far more insidious purpose lies beneath their animatronic dinosaurs and fabricated history. These sprawling monuments to ignorance are not just relics of fringe belief. They are rallying points for Christian nationalism, braven testaments to an extreme fundamentalist ideology that seeks to rewrite reality itself. Wrapped in the guise of faith, they reject science, pluralism, and historical truth, pushing instead a rigid theocratic vision where scripture overrules fact. This isn't just about myth over reason. It's about power. House Speaker Mike Johnson, a powerful elected official, has embraced this agenda, praising the Ark Encounter and Creation Museum as, quote, one way to bring people to this recognition of the truth that what we read in the Bible are actual historical events. His endorsement is not an outlier. It's a red flag. These attractions are not mere curiosities. They are symbols of a broader movement to dismantle the secular foundations of our nation and turn our country into a Christian theocracy, an idea our founding fathers resoundingly rejected. Through Answers in Genesis, this movement actively works to erode the separation of church and state, replacing scientific reality and human rights with rigid religious dogma. The question before us is not whether we should take this seriously. The question is whether we are willing to fight back before their vision becomes our reality. Answers in Genesis is not merely promoting a theological perspective. They demand that society be reordered to fit a biblical worldview dictated by rigid fundamentalism. Their vision is not a suggestion. It is a mandate. In their world, the earth is only 6,000 years old. Every living thing was divinely handcrafted in its current form, and human progress must be shackled to ancient texts rather than guided by evidence and reason. This dogma stands in direct defiance of science, history, and reality itself. But AIG does not care about reality. It cares about control. To them, truth is not determined by facts, but by faith. And faith must be enforced, not just followed. Their ultimate goal is not just to believe, but to ensure that everyone else does too. This drive to impose religious doctrine onto society is nothing new. In the 1980s, Senator Jesse Helms waged a relentless war against secularism, insisting that he was sent to Washington to fight against, quote, the forces who have driven God out of the classroom. Helms embodied the core mission of Christian nationalism, to erase the line between church and state and force an entire nation to bow before their version of God. That crusade has only intensified since. In 2022, Representative Lauren Boebert dismissed the very foundation of religious freedom, sneering that she was, quote, tired of this separation of church and state junk, declaring instead that, quote, the church is supposed to direct the government. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene took it even further, rallying conservatives to, quote, be the party of nationalism. We should be Christian nationalists. These statements are not political rhetoric. They are marching orders. This is an open call to dismantle democracy and replace it with theocratic rule. And AIG, through its museums, its media empire, and its relentless assault on education, is working hand in hand with these very politicians to ensure that future generations are indoctrinated into and controlled by this twisted vision of America. Ken Ham has directly stated that the Bible provides absolute truth in all areas of life, and current politicians often enforce this notion in their public policy. Speaker Mike Johnson's career is a prime example of this. Johnson has endorsed AIG's museums and attractions and fought to allow creationist teachings in Louisiana schools. Mike Johnson's theocratic goals are evident in using legal tools to privilege a specific religious doctrine. This erodes the wall between church and state, which is their ultimate goal. Past elected officials pushed for school prayer and resisted secular education by attempting to force God back to the forefront of public school teaching. Currently, elected officials are doing the same thing, but are louder and are gaining more support by the day. Boebert's open rejection of church-state separation shows the intent to undo the constitutional guardrails that prevent government endorsement of religion. According to Christian nationalists like Boebert, Greene, Johnson, Helms, the government should serve God's law first and put civil liberties and pluralism in the back seat. Instead, legislation is being driven by Scripture. How long will it be until Congress passes laws that rape survivors should marry their rapists, or fathers can sell their daughters into sexual slavery, or reinstitutionalizing the slave trade? How long till Congress deems women to be property owned by men? How long until the American experiment ends and God's law reigns at the hands of a tyrant king, regressing our society back to a time where religious beliefs were the guidestone? Answers in Genesis denies scientific reality in favor of a set of dogmatic religious beliefs that have been consistently proven wrong. This rejection of a scientifically informed worldview has persisted in popular culture over 100 years. 100 years ago, during the Scopes monkey trial, William Jennings Bryan said, "It is better to trust in the rock of ages than to know the age of the rocks." And I hate to break this to all the creationists out there, but the age of the rocks makes the supposed rock of ages irrational as an explanation for the diversity of life on Earth. Fast forward to 1980, Ronald Reagan appeased the creationist crowd by asserting that evolution, quote, is a theory only and not the best explanation for the diversity of life on this planet. Reagan appeased the creationists by claiming that scientists have found, quote, significant flaws in it, and that if evolution is taught in schools, so should the Bible. Today, still, the creationists want to indoctrinate our children into the same ignorance that plagues their cognitive abilities. And bills are being introduced in state legislatures all over the country right now to do just that. Reagan wasn't the only creationist to secure key roles in the government to advance this agenda. In 2012, a sitting House Science Committee member, Representative Paul Braun, proudly proclaimed, quote, "All that stuff I was taught about evolution and embryology and the Big Bang Theory, all of that is lies from the straight from the pit of hell." It's not just biological science that's currently under attack either. Environmental science is also in their crosshairs with plans to defund NOAA and other climate science research, which will inevitably lead to ecological disaster. Just this week, Texas officials said that funding and regulation cuts resulted in poor forecasting, which led to more than 50 people dying, including 15 children, from flooding in central Texas. 20 little girls are still missing from their summer camp. If anti-science leaders weren't running the show right now, the NWS would have been able to properly forecast, and these people, these kids, could still be alive. Senator James Inhofe cited Genesis when he argued that it's outrageous and arrogant to think humans could alter God's climate because God was supposedly still up there controlling it. Just this morning, I saw Marjorie Taylor Greene announce her new bill banning chemtrails, which is an anti-science conspiracy theory. Republican leaders are consistently fighting these invisible demons while ignoring climate science, and it's doing real damage. Representative John Shimkus even insisted in a congressional hearing that, quote, "The earth will end only when God declares its time. Man will not destroy this earth." These are individuals who make decisions that impact everyone. Currently, there are about 20 creationist lawmakers elected to office pushing legislation to defund the Department of Education, making religious charter schools publicly funded institutions, and pushing legislation to display the 10 Commandments in all public school classrooms. This Christian nationalist takeover of our educational institution cannot continue because they are normalizing the same information pushed by this monstrous monument of ignorance. This same information promoted by Ken Ham through Answers in Genesis has convinced 37% of the general population, which is approximately 99 million Americans, that a cosmic wizard with enchanted mud created humans. Furthermore, the ignorance pushed by the Ark Encounter and the Creation Museum keeps 190 million people convinced that evolution needed a magical mage to guide the process, which not only impacts their religious beliefs, but also how they see everything. And this fundamentalist ideology also seeks to deny the reality of human diversity. The LGBTQ plus community is continuously under attack by fundamentalists. In the 1980s, Senator Jesse Helms said, "Every Christian ethic cries out for me to call a perverted human being a perverted human being." I guess that doesn't include people in the conservative and Republican Party. Helms joins Ken Ham and his museums when they blame the LGBTQ plus community for societal degeneration. In the past, they fought against AIDS funding, and now they push to remove the Affordable Care Act's requirement that HIV prevention drugs be covered for free. This reveals an agenda that actively works to eradicate the LGBTQ plus community from society. Conservatives have not relented in their fight against human rights. If anything, they've intensified their efforts. In 2004, Mike Johnson wrote that the LGBTQ community as a group could destroy, quote, "the entire democratic system" if they were normalized. As we have recently seen, the biggest threat to our democratic system of governance is the actions of Speaker Johnson and conservative politicians, ushering in a Christian nationalist theocracy. They have been planning this theocratic takeover since the Reagan and Helms administrations. It's been 45 years of playing the long game, and it's well past time we do something to stop it. So now is the time to stand up and use your voice. Stand up and use your voice against stripping science out of classrooms. Stand up and use your voice against laws written in church pews and not in Congress. Stand up and use your voice against prayer turned into policy and scripture turned into statute. Stand up and use your voice before the wall between church and state is raised, before liberty bows to dogma, and before America becomes the Republic of Gilead. Stand up, use your voice, do it now, because we may not be able to do it tomorrow.
All right. Thank you all. I just want to remind everybody real quick that we've got a bathroom. If you need to go to the bathroom, there's a bathroom over there. Will ferry you over there in the car. Also, we're going to have Jim from the Tri-State Freethinkers. He's going to come up here and say a few words. All these years, Jim has been helping organize and make this happen, and never once has he dragged his carcass up on the stage. And you notice he's going around the long way. Here he is. All right, Jim, thank you.
Thank you. So I guess this is my fault. About 9 years ago, people start writing about the Ark. Atheists were covering this story in detail about all the church state violations. I don't need to repeat them. You have heard them. And the local group, people wanted to protest, but I said it wasn't possible. There was no sidewalks at the time. AIG owned all the land. I was like, logistically, we can't do it. So like all good things, they put me on stage in front of 1,000 people, and I said, hey, we're protesting the Ark. And then I came home and tried 2 weeks to figure out how to do it. So we had a team of people put this together, and our goal was to change the story. That's why we did this. When you looked at every article in mainstream media about the Ark, it was positive, about tourism, all the money coming into Kentucky. No matter what atheists wrote, it didn't get covered. So we had this brilliant idea to come up with a billboard, and we called it Genocide and Incest Park. We raised $10,000 to put it up, got a ton of press out of it. We got more press when not one billboard company in the country would put it up. We got more press. And then we even got more press when we said, we're going to drop it at their entrance gate on opening day, on their grand opening. And Bill Nye was going to come speak at the event as well. We had him agree to come speak. So we put this up, and this is the amazing thing that happened. People turned out. The media turned out. There were 6 documentary film crews, international news from all over the world. And everybody that covered the grand opening commented on the protests. Every major media outlet commented, not just that we were protesting, and it wasn't the headline, the Genocide and Incest Park. We got that out of the way leading up to it. But we were actually talking about the discrimination, the anti-science. And we changed the story. And we forever have been tied to that with them. And the people that showed up on that inaugural event end up changing a lot of what you see today because they were activists from around the country came. Or national organizations that didn't always get along. We're all here, hand in hand, doing this thing. And I guess that is the goal today, is I hope when you leave here today, it's not just holding up a sign and protesting an Ark. You find your local atheist or free thought group. You get involved. You can make a difference. The majority of all the activism from the Freethinkers, while we got all that news, came from just a few people, made that big of a difference. If you do not have a group, start one. If you do not know how, you call me. I'm not on social media, so find my wife, Chrissy. You know, as far as that goes. So that is my hope, that the people here leave here and make a difference in their community when you go back. And then next year will be the 10th anniversary of the Ark. We're going to do this one more time. And hopefully we won't have to do this anymore because we will have changed the separation of religion and government around the country. Thank you, guys.
That was great. All right. Okay, everybody getting plenty of water? Got water? Okay, everybody? Oh, good, good. Sunscreen? Do you need? Okay, all right. I just got to check on my people. Oh. All right, got water right over there. Goodness, and over there. There's water everywhere, despite how it looks. Where did they get all these trees, by the way? I'm just saying. I'm from West Texas, New Mexico. There's not this many trees. Our next speaker is Godless Granny. She's working her way up here. And I'm going to stall here and talk about trees and humidity. There you are. Come. There's a steps up over here. Watch out. Come all the way around. All the way, or you can step over. There you go. You're adventuresome. All right. Get up here, you wonderful thing. Thank you very much. Here is Miss Kelly. There you go. Thank you. If you need anything, holler.
I have come here to tell you that you matter. What you do here matters. And it is because of you that I am here. That banner was the beginning of the end of my faith. Whoever made that banner is responsible for me being an atheist. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Let me tell you my story. I was born to an Irish Catholic family. And when I was 7, my parents had been married for 8 years and had 4 children, and they knew that there were plenty more coming if they didn't do something. And at that time, the Catholic Church said all forms of birth control were forbidden. So my parents chucked the Catholic Church. And I was raised secular. I was not raised to believe all this stuff. But when I was 16, I had an existential crisis. And I had no idea that that's what it was or who to reach out to for help. But this was in the late 70s. And at that time, there was a movement called the I Found It movement, which was spearheaded by Billy Graham. And a young man in my English class was converted by that movement. And he told me about his faith, which I wanted nothing to do with at the beginning, until he told me that I had no purpose or meaning in my life, but I could have it if I believed in his God. I had just recently tried to kill myself, and nobody knew that. Nobody. To this day, my family does not know that when I was 16, I tried to kill myself. And so, yeah, Purple knows. And there's several people among here that know, but my family does not know. And so when this young man told me that I could have purpose and meaning in my life if I believed in his God, I believed it, hook, line, and sinker. And one of the things that these people showed me was a track, a chick track, called Big Daddy. And Big Daddy taught me young earth creationism. And I bought it, hook, line, and sinker. But it wasn't you people that taught me that young earth creationism was wrong. That actually was the Shed Aquarium. I took my kids to the Shed Aquarium and I saw lungfish. One of the things that I was taught from this booklet was that fish cannot grow lungs and crawl out of the water. And yet there they were, swimming right in front of me. Fish with lungs. The young earth creationists made the mistake of making a falsifiable claim, and I saw it was false. Go to 1984. 1984 was the worst year of my life. I had a stillborn child, and it wasn't that far from here. It was at Fort Knox, Kentucky. And that experience caused me to deconstruct my faith and think very hard about what kind of a God would do this. But I came away from that experience after reading the book, What to Do when Trusting God When Life Hurts. And I came away from that believing that because the Bible is the complete, inerrant Word of God, that I would trust it no matter what, even if that meant God was going to take my child. Yeah, that's how messed up I was. And I continued with that for another 30 years. I was a strong believer for 42 years. But then in 2019, the end came. It began when my son told me, Mom, Noah's Ark didn't happen. For one thing, the poop on the boat would have destroyed all of the animals. Now, at that time, my son was 18 years old, and parents don't listen to kids that much. But you might think we don't, but we really do. What I did was I waited till he left the room, and then I Googled it. I found 3 websites that all told me that my son was right. So I started thinking about this. The next day, I was reading in my Bible and thinking about the conversion of the Apostle Paul. And suddenly I realized, wait a minute. Why did God personally appear to Paul and call him? Is God not capable of doing that for everyone? Well, of course, he's all powerful. Does he not know what everyone needs to know in order to believe in him? Well, of course, he's all knowing. So why Paul? And why not everybody? Well, because God wanted Paul. And suddenly the thought came to me, Well, does that mean that God doesn't want everybody? That's not what the Bible says. And I entered some cognitive dissonance. 2 weeks later, my son showed me a video of the 2019 ARC protest. And the first thing I remember seeing in that video was that banner right there. And that banner made me angry. I said, the Noah story is not about Yeah, it is about genocide, isn't it? Well, there's no incest. Yeah, there is incest in that story. So I started watching and I thought, well, I'm going to show these Christians, or these atheists, why they're wrong. And so I started listening very intently to the rest of the video. And the next thing I heard was Aaron Ra. And he was yelling at a man and he was telling him, we don't just know that the ark couldn't happen. We know that it didn't happen. And we know that from biology. Now, I had no idea what he was talking about at that point. I didn't know Jay. I didn't know any evolutionary biologists. I did not know enough biology to understand what he meant. He said, we know that from geology. Do we have any geologists here? Okay. Well, I knew even less about geology than I did about biology. Then he said, we know that from history. I did know about history. And suddenly I realized that not only did I know that the flood never happened, I had always known that. Because never in a history course did a professor or teacher ever say that all of the people were wiped out and the civilization was gone, and then 200 years later, a group of Babylonians wandered in and started a new society here. That didn't happen. That isn't what the archaeologist shows us. And so suddenly, in just that one moment, a connection was made in my brain between what I knew about the Bible and what I knew about history. And I thought, God damn it, he's right. The flood didn't happen. The Bible is not inerrant. And that crashed the foundation and the only thing that upheld my faith. And in one moment, I became an atheist. And so I want to thank all of you for what you do here. As Godless Engineer told you, and as Ember told you, and as Jay told you, what you are doing here is even more important now than ever, because our government is trying to take this away from us. And I wrote a little song about Ark Encounter, and some of you know that song. Jay, would you mind coming up here and help keeping me on tune? We're just going to sing Jesus Loves the Little Children. And I'm not very good at staying on tune. I will change keys. But, well, you said you used to be a music minister. Mandisa's a singer? Okay, Mandisa. Who's a good singer? I just need someone to keep me in tune. But okay, we're going to sing Jesus Loves the Little Children, except it's Jesus drowned the little children. Red and yellow, black and white, they were evil in his sight. Ready? Here we go. Jesus drowned the little children, all the children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they were evil in his sight. So Jesus drowned the little children of the world.
And
Thank
all
you
the
for
puppies.
Live your life.
Thank you very much. Oh, Kelly, thank you very much. I don't know if you guys know this. I ran the Daily Atheist Morning Show. I do it now. Now I do it as well. But back in 2019 is when I started, and I ran it for a year. And I got to be there when Kelly was deconstructing. I got to meet her, and I've heard her story. We had her on the show to tell us about. That's how I know about that sign back there, that she actually had seen that sign, and that's what helped her deconvert. For our next speaker, I don't know if you're going to be able to understand him or not. He's got this weird accent, you know. That guy over there. Oh, that's you. That's you. Yes. Yes, we've got. You know, come on, get up here. This is John. He's from Australia, I think, or somewhere.
That'll do.
Pretty close.
One of those places. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not from here. I didn't know things like that existed until I moved to the USA, where people with imaginary friends treat those without imaginary friends like they are the strange ones. And despite the fact that I'm here legally, with valid documentation, I still have a fear that rice, yes, you heard that right, R-I-C-E, I'll let you figure out what the R's for, are going to come and find me and take me away. So if things go south, please form a protective barrier around me like elephants do with calves. Thank you, and please, and thank you. I'm in the fortunate position, it's hot today, I'm in the fortunate position of being able to say what I want, because none of you will listen to what I say. You'll just think, oh, isn't his accent lovely? Great for me. I'd only been living in the USA for a couple of weeks before I was told that I should visit a place called the Ark Encounter. I was told by a complete stranger whilst I was at a pumpkin patch of all places. I'm not sure how riding a tractor and picking out some pumpkins to carve in order to celebrate a pagan festival later appropriated by the Catholic Church, how that would suggest I would have a remote interest in a place like that over yonder. It's nothing over there that isn't just a recreation of a silly story that people, very gullible people, believe in. But I didn't know about the Ark, so I did some research. Since I know that there are theme parks that have fun rides and exhibits for other fictional stories, I thought, oh, the Ark Encounter's a bit like Harry Potter World, right? No. It's a government-funded, religious tourism-boosting telling of what some people believe is a true story. And whilst I've not been in the Ark Encounter, yesterday I went to the Creation Museum with my wife and one of my kids, Godless Engineer, and Mrs. G.E., Nancy from Apostate Sisters, and Kelly, the ACA legend. We just went there to get an idea of what it's like inside these places. Yes, I hated every second of spending money on a bunch of lies, but if I go, maybe I can save countless others the trouble by letting them know just how absolutely rubbish and what a terrible waste of money it was. Well, it's unfortunate to say that it looked pretty well put together, quite professional even, but that's about all I could take away from it. Big, well-presented, official-looking information boards with bold writing. Surely they wouldn't put money into something that isn't true. Well, apparently they did, and they have. It seemed like the museum equivalent of Linda on Facebook sharing a post and putting true in big capital letters. No, love, just saying true doesn't make it true, and please stop using memes as a source of news. Inside the Creation Museum, there were discrepancies everywhere. Skulls of apes that were clearly incorrect. Dismissive creationist explanations about what is scientifically demonstrable. And then, two of my favorite moments that I'm going to share with you now. And yes, I know it's the Creation Museum and not the Ark, but if they were created by the same person, Kenneth Hamilton of Straya Down Under, and if he can't get simple things right in one of those places, the likelihood is that it's completely made up in there too. Firstly, when talking about evolutionists, and let's not even get into how stupid that term is, it's not a real thing and nothing to do with not believing the stories of the Bible, but when talking about the stories of how other gods were the inspiration of Jeebus Crisp, the Egyptian god Horus is told to be born on the 25th of December. And the Creation Museum answer to it being borrowed was fabricated and irrelevant. I mean, isn't the story of supernatural Jesus fabricated anyway? And if you just say irrelevant, surely you're just sweeping it under the rug and ignoring it. Really silly. But my favorite part of the day In a timeline of Godfrey, the human herder of the sky, from creation to now, you know, the 6,000-year-old Earth narrative, they put that Jesus was born 5 BC. Just think about that for a moment. Jesus was born 5 years before Jesus. Well, it's still silly. It's still silly. And no regular patrons question it. That's why places like this are just the start of the descent into the ridiculous, allowing government-funded buildings that teach these stories as truth opens up a whole new world that our kids are subjected to. Having museums like that means that teachers in state-funded education feel justified in teaching stuff to our kids. We have a museum here, kids. So let me tell you about Noah, even though I'm not supposed to. Only a few months ago, my wife had to have a conversation with a parent-teacher conference about one teacher telling the class that there are only 2 genders. The teacher's reasoning? Well, my husband is a pastor. Okay. Well, I'm an atheist content creator, and I'm pretty certain that I get a message across to far more people than your gullible husband, love. People like Ken and Kent say that evolution is a dumb religion. They paint evolution as ridiculous in places like that, despite evolution being the most supported of the scientific theories. Why is evolution a dumb religion, but not your religion? Why would you call any religion dumb when it's what you live your life by? So, my suggestion to any creationists or state folks that may be listening, instead of using state money to build a useless giant boat that, if there was a God and it decided one day to actually drown the entire planet, because let's face it, that hasn't ever happened and history's proven it, thanks to the Chinese and Egyptian dynasties that didn't just stop existing one day and picked up a few years later to carry on as though, you know, nothing had ever happened. We couldn't actually use that ark if it did happen because it's got a massive leak problem. A better use of their money would be if they could prove a way that Jesus did actually come back from the dead. I'd pay good money to see creationists resurrected after not being alive for a few days. And that would be far more convincing than a Ken Ham shrine, because honestly, his face is everywhere in these places, and I thought I had a big ego. Better yet, spend your money on actual historical places. Kentucky has a huge cave system. Some of those caves have artwork on them. They predate Christianity. And guess what? There aren't any dinosaurs on those walls. You think that if humans and dinosaurs did live together, there'd be a cave somewhere that had some artwork of it. Don't give your money to the thousands of gift shops that are a ratio of 3 to 1 exhibit in these places. Our money and government money should not be used to spread the disinformation in these places. Speak up. Say when something is stupid. And don't bother going to the Ark Encounter or the Creation Museum. From what I've seen, it's not worth the time, the money, or the lies. Thank you.
Thank you, John. John the Skeptic from, I guess, England. He said here he wants us to think it's England. I don't know, though. They all sound the same to me. Okay, everybody, we've got some pizza back here. It is yucky and disgusting. Don't go eat it. Save it all for me. I will eat it all. But they've got some various different kinds of pizza back here. It's free. If you would like a slice of pizza, just save some for the amazing Super Chris. And they have a little donation jar over there. If, you know, like I say, it's free, but if you got some coin and you'd like to say thank you for the pizza, then go ahead and do that. Our next speaker, haha, girl, Miss Mandisa from the Black Non-Believers. I've been waiting for this one. This is going to be some good stuff. She beat Ken Hovind like a dirty rug. It was Ken Ham, wasn't it? Those guys Ken Hovind. Okay, there she is. She's going to take the mic from me. Did you see her take the mic from me?
Yes, I did. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Chris. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to every one of you that are here this afternoon for this protest. Many of you may know me as Mandisa Thomas, founder and president of Black Non-Believers. Next year, we will be celebrating our 15th anniversary. 15 years of empowering atheists, humanists, freethinkers, skeptics from the Black community and beyond. I have had the honor, this is my third Ark Encounter protest that I've had the honor of speaking, and it is an honor to be back. I have been involved in many aspects of the secular community, but one that I'm very proud of, that I was asked about. Not only have you heard me speak, some of you, not many of you, have not heard me sing. So, upon request, and shout out to Stephen, one of my fellow Godless Gospel members, that was conceptualized by Dan Barker. Many of you know him. It is through the creation of Black non-believers that Godless Gospel is possible. But I'm going to just give a snippet for you right now. I don't need Jesus to bring me a smile. I don't need some holy book to make my life worthwhile. Just give me reason, fairness, and love, because true human happiness does not come from above. Hell no. Thank you. We have an album in the works. We will be performing at upcoming events. And this is a part of the creativity that we bring into this community, in addition to the activism, in addition to the protests. So live your truth and speak your voice as we will. I didn't come with a prepared speech. I'm speaking from the heart because that's what I know how to do. When I decided to debate Kent Hovind, is he even here? Okay, he didn't show up. Oh yeah, he got lost, all right. It wasn't to debate, it really wasn't to go into detail about creationism and all of the very, very incorrect and wrong things that he and other young earth creationists spew. It was to try to convey how harmful those beliefs are in real time. As we are seeing in this current administration, we're seeing the erosion of history, of what they consider woke ideology, what they consider what is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, we are here in this Independence Day weekend, in this July 4th weekend as well. And this administration, these creationists, seek to destroy and erase the history of both the indigenous people and also my ancestors, the enslaved ancestors who built this country. As Frederick Douglass said, what is the fourth? What is the slave? What to the slave is the 4th of July? How can you talk about freedom and independence when you have people in bondage? And now when you are trying to take people back into bondage. And make no mistake that these policies, these quote unquote immigration policies, these Christian nationalist policies are racist. They are racist. They are sexist. And how weak do you have to be to target 1% of the population that is trans people? How weak do you have to be to target folks who just want to live their lives? LGBTQ folks, people of color, the economically disadvantaged, whom y'all want to keep economically disadvantaged to keep a small number of people rich, which impacts us all. White supremacy has hurt us all, and we have to call it for what it is. That contraption over there reeks of white supremacy. All of the creationists that want to erase history, it reeks of white supremacy. They don't give a damn about people of color. They don't give a damn about further marginalized people. But this is why we're here. This is why we continue to fight. This is why we continue to live our values and not just simply talk about it, but be about it. And to continue to do so in love, with evidence-based practices, and doing so in a way that speaks to the heart of people without being manipulative. We can do that as a community. And so I urge all of us to continue, whether you are creating content online, whether you are a part of in-person organizations, whether you are looking to run for office. And we do encourage everyone to become politically involved, because guess what? Our very existence is political. When we openly identify as atheists, humanists, non-believers, freethinkers, and we call out that bullshit, we are being political, whether we realize it or not. I know some people call me brave for what we do, for what I do, speaking up here as a Black atheist woman. And shout out to Kelly, who represents our Detroit affiliate, as another Black atheist woman. Shout out to Jay. Shout out to Dade. Shout out to all of you here once again, because we need to be here. Some people call me brave for going down to Dino Land, which is a compound basically. But this is brave. When you actually have the heart and the brains to stand up, even when you are getting involved in your local communities just to meet, that is brave. When you question those beliefs that you have been indoctrinated with, some of you fundamentally, that's brave. All of it is brave. And you all deserve a round of applause for being here, no matter how you got here. And it's important for you to know that there are way more of us out here, and there will continue to be, as long as we continue to speak up and show up and act out. We have to continue to do that. And remember, all resistance movements included music. The civil rights movement included plenty of music. So we don't have to be divorced from the creativity that is humanity. Let us remember that. So I would like to continue to encourage you to stay focused, even when it feels hard, because it is hard right now. It feels very, very difficult. But we must continue to stay encouraged. We must continue to stay active. And we must continue to support each other in our organizations. So if this last part seems like it's a plug for support of my organization, it is, unapologetically. So yes, please do support the very important work of Black non-believers. You can become an official member, no matter who you are. You can make your tax-deductible donation, no matter who you are. You can purchase our swag, including our new shirt. Jesus was thrown under the bus so that God could get clout. But I'll tell you what, these folks are throwing Jesus under the bus. Because if Jesus was here and he is looking at, and he would see this monstrosity of an attraction, if he would see what's happening to people who are economically disadvantaged, those folks who are coming here working hard, is that what Jesus would do? They are throwing Jesus under the bus for tax breaks. They are throwing Jesus under the bus for political clout. They are throwing Jesus under the bus for the sake of their own oppression, which they call liberation and freedom. They are throwing Jesus under the bus for their own clout. And we have to continue to fight that. And if you want a better boat experience, You don't need to go to that boat. You could come experience that with BNCCon, our cruise convention that Black Nonbelievers does, which will feature some amazing speakers, some amazing community building, some amazing activism, because we do need to continue to reaffirm what we do, which is based in evidence, education, humanity, just for the sake of just caring about people. That is what we're here for. We're putting our values into practice today and in the future. And I will encourage you to continue to do so. Not just online, but get your asses out in person and continue to engage and continue to fight with all of us. In 15 years of being involved with this organization, I have met some amazing people. You are now all my family. When people say you can't choose family, that's a lie. That is a lie. When people leave religion and they deconstruct, they often lose their blood relatives. But blood doesn't always make you family. What makes us family is how we care for each other, how we support each other, how we build and move for the future. And that is why we are all family here right now. So thank you all for being here. Again, continue to stay involved, stay motivated, because again, there are more people in the shadows watching. They're questioning, and they need to know that that is okay. It is okay for them to be out and proud with it. And that is what we must continue to do as a community. Thank you.
Very much. That was wonderful. So she did that without a script, right? To just show up, all the rest of us, make us look bad. That's kind of, thank you very much. I want to let everybody know that we've got a list down here. If you're looking for some secular, non-belief people to hang out with, groups you want to meet with, we've got a list. You can come get your name on them, and they'll reach out to you via email or some of that. Also, we've got pizza back there. It's free. So go back there, have yourself a piece of pizza. It's tasty and delicious, or so I hear. And I'm waiting for Elliot to get on stage so I can go get all mine. Because Elliot, you know how he is. He's just going to talk. All right. So our next speaker is... There he is. Okay, I want to tell you guys. Now, Mandisa was showing off. She showed up. She didn't have a script. She just, you know how she is. Dade didn't even know he was going to be speaking today. He drove down here just figuring he's going to sit out here, look sexy, and be cool. But no, I got to put him to work. So we're going to get Dade in here. Come on, Dade. All right, look at you. Thank you very much. Again, very little preparation. Thank you, Dade.
Very little. Bear with me, this is last minute. Anywho, my name's Dade Murphy. I'm an atheist, communist who trolls Christians relentlessly online. I basically came here, so forgive me because this was last minute, so I didn't have much time to prepare a speech. So this is just sort of off the cuff. But I basically felt compelled to come because of the indoctrination of the children. I don't really care what adults believe, insofar as it doesn't bother me. But unfortunately, these beliefs, these unsubstantiated claims with which they live their lives by, they're pressing on the children. And I feel like that is stopping their ability, or at least making it very difficult for these otherwise innocent human beings to determine or to differentiate between what is fact and what is fiction. And then that bleeds into other areas of their thinking. To the next thing you know, you're believing that the election was stolen, or that vaccines cause autism, or some nonsense like this, because you're not tethered to evidence. So this whole ARC experience nonsense is just another example of that. This propagation of ignorance, vilifying knowledge and science. And I won't have any of it. Fuck that. So, that being said, excuse me. I'm gonna go. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. So, Dade Murphy, I don't know if you know this guy. I actually kind of tried to sneak over and give me a piece of pizza, and he got me. So, Kelly Laughlin, what's that?
That's it. You got me.
I got you. Take me back. Kelly Laughlin is our next speaker. Kelly is with the what is it? The Ark Encounter protests, or not the Ark Encounter protests? What? Oh, okay.
I'm just some guy.
This is just some guy. He is from, what is it called? The ACA is what I'm trying to think of. The ACA, the Ark Encounter. I keep saying Ark Encounter.
Oh, yeah, I do some ACA work. I didn't know I was going to be a speaker here today either. So, but I'm really happy to see everybody here. And because this is what we do this for. It's because of you people, because you are the leaders. You're the people who are going to go out there and spread out from this place like a spider web and create a whole wave of education and awareness to a bunch of people that need to hear it and need to be moved by what we're doing here today. So I'm really, really happy to meet all of you here because I'm freaking honored. I'm honored to meet you all. And I want you to just remember that if you think you can't do much, it doesn't matter. I mean, a million raindrops can wear away a big chunk of rock. Just every little bit helps. And you've heard the butterfly effect. You know, butterfly flaps its wings on one side of the world. You have a hurricane on the other. If everybody could be a butterfly, think of the storm we could create then. So that's one of the messages that you should go out and spread, is that we only need everybody to do a little tiny bit. You don't have to commit yourself, because committing yourself is it's a big thing. You know, a lot of people don't have the time. A lot of people don't have the energy, but they can make a phone call. They can write a letter. They can call screen for somebody's show. There's all these little tiny things you can do. And those are the things that really count. That's real activism. Being out there with your boots on the ground and getting the things done. So I hope that you go out there and spread that message, that everybody, no matter how small it is a big contribution. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for letting me come up.
All right, so we're almost to the end of our list of speakers. We're going to close the show with Elliot here in just a minute, but I've got Austin Sims, if you'll come on around. Austin is another atheist, and we'd like to say a couple words, and we're going to have Dave. Here you go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Austin Sims. I didn't prepare a speech today, so I'm just going to speak a little bit off the cuff. I'm kind of new to this community. I started a channel a while back. I was raised as a young earth creationist in a hardcore Southern Baptist Texas community. I was convinced that evolution was an evil idea meant to pervert my mind and convince me to worship Satan, until eventually I left that community and I realized that that is, to use a technical term, complete bullshit. And so I've started reaching out across the aisle here, because as annoying as what creationists do is, a lot of them are victims. The creationists themselves are victims of their own pseudoscience, of their own activism, of their own behavior and methods. And so we have to be compassionate towards them as we try to resist them. You have to strike a balance. But that's not mainly what I wanted to talk about today. I'm going to keep it real brief, because I know y'all are raring to hear Elliot speak. I just want to reinforce the point that what you're doing here has an effect, and I am proof of that. Every year, you will find more people speaking up, speaking out, speaking about their experience, getting more involved, starting a channel like I have, getting up here and talking to people with off-the-cuff comments without the confidence that this group has given me. That wouldn't be happening. Without the approval and support and the understanding this group gives to people, that would not be happening. That is one way that this movement measurably has an effect. And I'll tell you another way. We've been here all day talking to people from this community, and I know lots of creationists, when they talk about this protest, they're going to say, oh, it's just the grumpy atheists. It's just the angry non-believers coming out here and throwing a tantrum. Almost every local we've talked to today has a negative opinion of that museum. They don't like it either. And this community, I think, is responsible for that. Jim was up here talking about it, about how you changed the story, and you did. The comments we have heard from people prove that much. So I just wanted to say, you are having an effect. Keep putting your energy into this. Keep supporting each other. Keep finding that compassion. keep thinking critically and using logic and reason and being the amazing people you are, and it will continue to have an effect. Thank you.
That was Austin Sims. I don't know if I introduced him or not. I'm just kind of grabbing people out of the crowd. Now, we've got Dave from Captive Desk. I'm going to throw him to the wolves. Dave? Dave's not here, man. Dave's are here, in fact. Come on, Dave. I didn't spit all over the microphone this time.
Oh, I was going to lick it.
Okay.
I was hoping. Hi, everybody. Yeah, we're in Kentucky on a really, really hot day, and we're here for the ARC protest. Well, it's a great turnout. Good to see everybody. Great to meet everybody. I've only known a lot of you from online, so we finally got to meet in person. That's really great. I did want to give a shout out real quick to Dan Phelps. Dan couldn't make it. He sends all his best. Some of you may not know who Dan Phelps is. He's a man behind the scenes. All the attendance numbers, all the public information requests, Dan pulls them for us, keeps us surprised. He writes editorials. He's a thorn in Ken Ham's side. He did meet Ken Ham, got a photo with him, and immediately afterwards, Ken Ham found out who he was, and he wasn't very happy. So he does know who Dan is. If you don't know who Dan is, Dan deserves a round of applause for all the work he's done behind the scenes. Thank you, Dan Phelps. And thank you, everybody. And if you don't know, my name's Dave. I have a channel, The Captive Desk. And I just saw Seth Moore is here. Where's Seth at? There's Seth right there. Seth used to work at the ARC. And if you want to hear his story, he's been on my channel a couple times sharing it. Check it out at The Captive Desk. And we're really glad Seth could make it. So good to see you, and thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you very much, Dave. I appreciate you guys. It's been hot out here. I very much appreciate you. If we've got enough people who are interested in walking down to the Ark Encounter gate for some reason, let us know. If it's not hot enough for you, people are planning on possibly walking down. But if we don't have enough people, we're just going to stay safe, drink water, chill out. I've got a couple of more speakers, and then we're going to go home. A reminder, we've got pizza back there. The Tri-State Freethinkers supplied our pizza. There's a donation cup if you want to throw some dollars towards them. Over here, we've also got the Black Non-Believers table. If you'd like to come over here and get yourself some swag, they have got some wonderful swag. And let's see, I also want to thank Pangburn for supporting this thing, supporting the Ark Encounter protest. Is everybody here familiar with Pangburn? Anybody familiar with Pangburn? All right, that's what I want to hear. Okay, good. All right, good. So I've got another gentleman up here. We're going to bring him up here for just a moment. Come on around the camera, if you will. Don't want you falling. No, not unless wait until you get in front of the camera to fall. All right, come on up there. Right. This is Andrew. He's want to say a few words.
All right, my name is Andrew Lutz. I've been part of the Tri-State Freethinkers for a good long while. I just want to say three things real briefly. First, I want to give a shout out to Big Bone Lick State Park over there, which is a real science park. And they commemorate the Native Americans, the people who were here first before Europeans like me showed up. And the big bones there, the native people's spear points, it's all evidence for evolution, real science. So any of you, if you can if you want to go to a real science park instead of a pseudoscience park, Big Bone Lick State Park, I strongly recommend it to everyone, really. And a sheet here, 6 reasons why we're against the Ark Encounter. I'll read them off. This won't take real long. They discriminate on their hiring practices. No LGBTQ, no atheists, no Catholics, no Jews. They make you sign a vow of chastity if you're single. And do you really believe that? It is anti-science. They claim the earth is 6,000 years old. The Grand Canyon was formed in 40 days, and that genocide and incest are okay. They receive up to $18 million in state tax incentives. 75% of the real estate tax goes to paying back their loan. And last, not least, employees in the area have to pay 2% of their paychecks to pay back this loan. These are 6 good reasons for being against this so-called ARC encounter. Thirdly, I want to say I got here late. I was in a hurry, walking too fast across this gravel parking lot. I tripped and fell over my feet. I busted my hand. I busted my chin. Immediately, altruistic atheists came to my aid. They cleaned my wounds. They gave me water to drink. They put bandages across my wounds. I tried to give money to them. They turned it down. So anyone who says atheists are selfish people who won't help anyone else, well, I'm up here living proof. I fell and busted myself, and atheists immediately came to help me. I can't thank them enough. If I can find some way to stick money in their pocket when they're not looking, I'll try. But I really, Gabriel particularly, thank you so much, Gabriel. Oh, okay. I am not going to eat my words. This man's asking for money. I said I'd give it. Okay, coming right up. Hey, thank you all for letting me speak my piece. This is freedom of speech. Thank you all very much. This is Andrew of Tri-State Freethinkers.
Hey, Andrew, I got you something right here. Don't run away. I got this for you. There you go. And there's steps thus if you'd like to. All right.
So I don't bust myself again.
Yes, yeah. Or at least we get it on camera this time so we can all laugh together.
Ha, ha, ha.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much again. Black non-believers over here with some wonderful merch. Go get you some merch. It's awesome stuff. I got to stay away from the speakers. Over here, we've got all these wonderful people. We've got a sign-up list if you want to sign up for. It's a kind of a community thing. If you are looking for other skeptics or atheists to get involved with, they've got a sign-up list. It's wonderful for that. I want to say thank you again to Pangburn for supporting us, and also to the Tri-State Freethinkers, Jim and Chrissy, and the people involved with that. Where are Jim and Chrissy at? Are they? There's Jim. There we go, and the dog. Yes. Bruiser, right? Bruiser. Dogs are my favorite people, so I'm just saying. Next, I'm going to bring up Kelly. Kelly, damn it. Not Kelly. It's not Kelly. It's this guy over here, Elliot. It rhymes with Kelly, though. So Kelly is a stream whore. He doesn't have his own stream.
Yeah. No, it's honestly true. So I'm very, very excited to be here. This is my first time being here, and I am deeply thrilled. You'll have to forgive me a little because while I did prepare something, it was fairly quick, and I'm probably going to have trouble seeing it because my eyes are fairly crap. But Joe told me before we drove up here, he said, man, you're going to end out the whole show today. And I said, well, that's a bold statement. I don't know what that statement is exactly, Joe, but it's bold and I appreciate it. But I am going to talk about the thing that I love more than anything, which is this right here. Community. Building, organizing, and sustaining community for our people. It's the reason that at the end of last year, it just so happened a day before the election, we incorporated a brand new 501c3 in the middle of Tennessee to do exactly this. Connect and support our people, right? Okay, so I'm often known as kind of a silly guy. I like to have fun. I like to play. But we're going to get serious. And the reason we're going to get serious is because this is serious. What happens over there at that building is not a joke. And I know that all of us know that. And we're here today because that's how we feel. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let you know. I'm going to ask you to do something by the time this is over. So, if you're sitting there thinking, well, Elliot, I already donate. I already watched the videos. I'm here at the protest. You really want me to do more? Yeah, I do. I want it from all of us. Now, the reason I want that is because right here, right now, we find ourselves in a time where people want to divide. they want to spread fear. They want to spread hatred. They want to shun honesty and promote ignorance. And they try every day to pull back on the progress that we have made to ensure that all people can live a prosperous life. They are not the majority. We are. I know that sometimes it doesn't feel like that. When it feels like every single day we are fighting the same fight once again. When there are trails that were blazed long ago that today have to be cleared of debris and rot. When walls that once stood unshakable, seemingly crumbling in front of our eyes. This is what they'll remind us of every day. They'll point out the failures, and they'll tell us that we don't matter. They'll laugh in our faces as they promote pain and death on anybody who opposes their wicked ways. And they will wrap themselves in our flag. And they will claim that it's theirs. And that their God is what determines righteousness and truth. That our complex and colorful history is simple and bland. They'll say our knowledge is limited while theirs is unbounded. And we are broken while they are perfected. And they'll tell us every day, you have no power. You are not capable. You are nothing. They spread fear because they are afraid. They are afraid of your power. They are afraid of your capabilities, and they are afraid that together we are something. And that's why they fight so hard to keep us quiet. That's why they fight so hard to keep us down. But if we all stand and speak, there's nothing they can do. And this isn't just conjecture. We have proof. We have seen this time and time throughout our history. Our history is full of these triumphs. Battles that felt like all hope was lost, and in the darkest hour, a light shone through. A fiery passion for justice, for goodness, for humanity that raises to the sky and blazes new trails right before our eyes. A force that hits so strong, the reverberations are felt around the world, and it shakes the very foundations of the walls meant to divide. And from that rubble we built new walls to protect, to guarantee the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. And we have that opportunity again. If we take it, we have that opportunity again. A chance to set a course for history for generations to come, if we take it. I know that a lot of us are tired. We're depressed. We're hot and sweaty right now. That is exactly what they want. They want you tired. They want you stressed. They want you disconnected. They want it to feel like our efforts are wasted. Don't let them. Don't give in. There are so many organizations and individuals right now that you can make a difference in. You see their names right here on these signs around us, and I promise you, I can list you another 15 off the top of my head. There are so many opportunities for each and every one of us to get involved. And there are so many support groups out there. If we're feeling tired and we need a break or a shoulder or an ear, do not cut off. Do not isolate. Reach out. Get involved and find your people. For some right now, the best thing for you to do is to stay quiet, to stay hidden, and to stay safe. And that's where the rest of us must stand up. If your neighbor can't speak, you shout. If your coworker can't stand, you jump. And if your loved one can't show up, you camp out until they can. We need us now more than ever. So I want to quote to you some lyrics, because music has been so incredibly important for me in my life, in my journey of deconstructing, and my view on all people being worthy. These lyrics, unfortunately, ring truer today than when they were first written 2 decades ago. But I think every single one of us here will understand exactly what they're saying, as we know that absolutely ridiculous building sits right down the road from us. Shackled our minds when we're bent on the cross. When ignorance reigns, life is lost. They shackle the minds when they're left on the cross. When ignorance reigns, life is lost. No more. No more. We can stop this. We can do something, because it has been done before, and we will do it again. This is our opportunity. This is our home, and I'm not going fucking anywhere. And I hope that you'll all join me. And I hope that you'll get others involved. I hope that you leave here today, and the first thing you do when you get back home is you send $5. You like a post on Facebook. You call your friend and you tell them what's happening. We need us now more than ever. Now, if you're here today and you still aren't convinced, I hope very soon you will be. For me, I heard everything I needed to hear a long time ago. The very next line in that song. Why stand on a silent platform? Fight the war. Fuck the norm. Thank you.
Okay, go get you some water, brother. All right, everybody, I think we're about done with all of our speakers. I want to give a quick shout out here to Dan Dowerson. I hope I said that right, Dan. He's over here in the corner. He's got a book. He's a scientist of a nature. He told me earlier, but man, my brain is just melting in my head, so I forgot. But he's got this book. It's about Addicted to BS, and it's talking about Bigfoots, UFOs, Leviathans, leprechauns, skinwalkers, amazing super Chris's, those sorts of things that don't really exist. So I just wanted to give him a shout out and almost drop his book on the ground. So, oh yeah, and it's all about religion. So yes, of course. Yes. Thank you. This was last minute. I should have shouted them out earlier. Black non-believers over here. Don't forget to swing by and say hi to them and get you some merch. The Tri-State Freethinkers are fixing to come up and say some last words with us. Last words, that sounded ominous. But I also want to say thank you to Pangburn and those groups who supported us, to everyone, Godless Engineer and all those people. Did he sneak off? All those wonderful people. I want to thank everybody who was here today. Here is Jim. And
we do have one more tradition we do here at the Ark. And I know it's hot, but we usually take that banner and we walk 2 by 2 all the way to the entrance gate of the Ark for a nice photo op. If you can't walk, we have cars that will take you and drop you off. But we're going to take that banner all the way to their entrance gate 2 by 2. And we have signs here. You can grab one of your favorite signs. Here's one I pulled out, one of my personal favorites. But grab a sign. Let's go 2 by 2, and let's take that banner to the entrance gate.
Anything about the after?
Oh, and there'll be an after party at my house later. So you're welcome.
Oh, okay. I'll do it. Okay, everyone, I guess that's it. We're all done. Thank you all to have shown up. Be safe going home. Drink some water. Oh, my goodness. Thank you all. You're so fantastic. I appreciate you. Oh, and there's more pizza back there. I'm going to go eat it all and get all manner of fat. These love handles do not maintain themselves. So go get you some pizza and save me from getting fat. We also have that list to sign up over here. With them, if you're looking for other atheist groups to hang out with, you can feel free to go sign up. And then, of course, Dan and his wife, Judy Jewel, they also have a book. So go check out their books. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Be safe.